So good morning, everybody. I'll be talking today about recruiting enablement, and what I mean by that is in terms of how we help the recruiter to fill vacancies more effectively, efficiently, and improve quality of hire. So in addition, I'm going to talk to you about data. Oh, sorry. Shall I? Can you not hear me? Yeah. Sorry about that. Always good stuff. So I'll also be talking to you about how data can transform recruiting, enabling recruiters really to outperform their competition. And you may have heard of the term datafication. That comes from the leading HR industry visionary and analyst, Josh Bersin, who actually coined the term. So what we are seeing in recruiting is that that it's more challenging than ever before, that we're seeing hyper-competitive competition around for all candidates. So it is now easier to apply, and 92% of candidates, as you know, are considering more than one job offer. There is less talent available with low employment rates and therefore more competition. When you look at job postings that are out there, 40% are for 39 roles, and this came from the Fortune 100 companies. All of these companies are competing for software developers, marketing managers, customer service reps, and it shows the posting and skills that are in demand today. So we are competing all the time in a competitive market. So when you're looking at candidate volume, research that we actually did recently revealed that in the past 2 years, applications have actually doubled. So at the same time, the number of steps in terms of the sourcing, nurturing, recruiting has gone up. There are 91 steps now in the hiring process, so quite a job for the recruiters to do. Candidates have also shifted from committed to casual. So now you can just one-click apply, upload a CV, and you're done. Before it was harder, so you had more committed candidates, and then they would research a company, shortlist the jobs, and then they would go and see a recruiter. But now it's much easier where the candidates apply for the job, then speak to a recruiter and research. And finally, D&I, the hot topic for all organizations. So it's now more than a figurehead statement, is actually something that's mandated. And we're finding that from Gartner reports, that is the number one topic for CHROs, because companies have realized that they will not achieve their D&I goals, and they're not including this within their strategy going forward. So strong business case for D&I, as we all know. This is a chart that captures some of the key research out there. So for example, McKinsey & Co., they are saying that companies with a more gender balance in leadership are more productive and profitable by more than actually 21%. So businesses are really focused on this. So if you look at D&I in recruiting, it's really about making employers more competitive. As you can see with these three boxes here, if you think of D&I as the foundation as to how to compete in the market and how you can attract more diverse candidates. So at Olio, we help recruiters to widen their talent pool, to pick the right candidates, regardless of their diverse background. So in the past few years, there's been an HR transformation which applies to digitalization, and this was a report from Harvard last May, which basically said that recruiting, in terms of the transformation with digitization, is actually failing. Employers are so obsessed in actually time cuts and saving money. And they've really focused more on quantity rather than quality. So with quality hires, you can look at how are they performing in their job, how long do they stay, and as you can see, recruiters are having pressure constantly to fill seats. The other thing is that data can be just siloed, so how did they perform in role? At Olio, we are suggesting a new way forward via recruiting enablement, we're calling it. So there are three main components, as you can see here. So adopt and adapt diverse recruiting, and also employ different leverage data to automate and inform recruiting and inform the hiring decision-making, and hardwire D&I in your recruitment process. So we are providing bias-free, data-driven support, which is hot-wired into your process, from attraction to engagement to selection. And we provide intelligent automation around that, and we support volume to support your diverse strategies going forward. And that's all underpinned with our machine learning AI technology. So as we see here, Olio provides bias-free, data-driven decision support. So that can include looking at your job postings and debiasing them, looking at your emails and debiasing them, and also identifying gender-specific words that you can make those neutral with our solutions. But we're looking also at candidate scoring that can help reduce bias in the process. So when you're thinking about intelligent automation workflows to line your recruiter's workload effectively, not to go through all of these, but these are some of the automations that we do. We've been doing it for years, and that was prior to automation being data-driven today. So it really is an idea of helping to reduce the recruiter's workload. And this is a client of ours, Marks & Spencer, so we help them to manage in terms of volume 200,000 applicants a year for their customer service roles. And it was a result of our intelligent automation that resulted in them seeing 35 minutes from application to interview, 3 days from application to hire. And that actually meant that they were actually recruiting people, being able to recruit people, faster than their competition, before their competition was even able to interview those candidates. So we also provide a comprehensive recruiting enablement platform, which covers all these areas. So we can go right from event management for early engagement with your candidates to CRM, which is providing engaging content throughout the process, reinforcing your brand. And also we've got interview management and talent mobility, and also machine learning underpinning that. And so finally, a bit about us. We've been going for 25 years now. We have people in the UK, US, and Asia, and we are a leading talent acquisition provider, as mentioned earlier, and we're very fortunate to have customers like DreamWorks, Amazon, Marks & Spencer's, Morgan Stanley, to name a few. So I hope that you still have an interest with Olio, and we have a table over there. There's champagne on offer in terms of a competition. Please feel free to reach out to us. And goodness, 20 seconds goes fast on each slide.
Excellent. Well done, Nikki. Round of applause, guys.
To start with, I've been told that the first slide's a freebie. So I'm going to try and keep this slide on for as long as possible so I don't have to go into that 20-second thing. But I will actually go through it all really quickly. On the back of the really good talk we just heard there, I'm actually going to be a bit of a trend. I'm going to be following using data over gut when it comes to recruitment. We, as a company, oh shit. Okay, so we started in that case. So then, at the end of the day, I'm not a recruiter. I work for Personio, which is a HR management and applicant tracking system all in one. I do believe that recruitment is a human thing, but the reality is numbers can really help us in how we do things. So where do we use the KPIs and the data to help? To start with, I think that they can make things to work more efficiently, to get better at our jobs. It helps us to identify trends and identify potential bottlenecks, and as well as that, it helps to convince and manage expectations. So the big thing from us is we still see that about 53% of companies don't use any data in their recruitment process, which to me is a little bit terrifying, and it makes me ask the question why. I think the big reason normally is there's just too many options. There's almost too much data available. It's like, where do we start focusing, or what do I start with to start getting into it? And there's this kind of like belief originally that the more applications you get, the better. And everyone kind of drives that top of funnel behavior. And it kind of feels quite simplistic, but the reality is that it's more than ever less about volume and way more about quality. So then how can you use the data to really drive that is the big thing for us. And this is the number of applications we've actually had at Personio over the last few quarters. And as you can see, pure VC terms, up and to the right is good, which is fantastic. So even our CEO was very happy, Hannah, nice job, applications are going up. However, that doesn't really paint the full picture of what was going on at Personio and the recruitment team. So this is the first 3 quarters of 2000 and 2018. You can see the number of applications was going up really nicely. However, the number of quality applications was actually going down, the percentage of quality applications we're getting through. So that meant that we were actually looking at the quality going from 29% of all applications being good down to about 19%, which actually meant we were working way, way harder to try and get all these applications in place. But the end result was just basically a massive waste of time. So from our side, we're way more interested in how do you really improve the quality side of it rather than the application side of it. So we then started looking at some of the actions. So we started to rework our job listings, tried to really concentrate on making sure they were going to appeal to people, optimizing the channel yield, see where we're spending, where we're getting the most responses, and then really try and improving the targeting of our job adverts as well. Oh, and what was the result of this? So you can actually see from Q4 onwards, the number of applications did increase in total by about 268%. But if you look at the quality, from like Q3 when we reworked everything, up until the following year, 32% of our applications drove through were quality. And that's a massive, massive difference to us. So as I said, I'm not in the recruitment team, I can't take credit for this, but they did an amazing job to really drive that behavior, and especially when we're trying to hire about, I think it's about 300 people this year, trying to really focus on that quality makes a big, big difference to us. I'm also going to deep dive into a really specific case where we use where we use data to really help on the recruitment side, and this is when we're trying to hire engineers who are probably one of the hardest people to hire, coders in particular, and this is a breakdown of every single step of the process and where we were going. And you can see very, very quickly in this process, the biggest amount of candidates who dropped out and who didn't convert were in the coding challenge stage. And this meant that we had about 0.6% applications to offer, and it was about 78 hours to try and hire one developer. So very quickly, we set ourselves a target. We said, this is not good enough. We're never going to hire 100 developers a year if we're going at this pace. Let's try and get 40% of the people who take the coding test through into the next stage. And that should result in a 1.1% increase from application to offer. So we tried to reverse engineer this a little bit. And this actually took some convincing of our engineering team, because we had to get them to spend 2 days really investing into this to work. If they wanted the extra capacity and they wanted the people to help, this was what the outcome was on the recruitment team. It was going to be 45 hours to try and hire someone instead of 78 hours. So even only improving that one metric, the impact it would have on everyone else in the organization was huge. And when you're trying to hire 100 developers a year, those extra 23 hours is a massive, massive amount when you start tallying up what that actually means. So what was the outcome for us? By doing this, we actually tried to understand why candidates were dropping off in the first place. The coding test itself was very unwelcoming. It was particularly challenging and long, and it didn't really kind of like drive what we're actually looking for in terms of candidates who have joined the company. So we reworked this, entirely streamlined it, and then there was a massive result. We got to 39%, so just 1% short of our target. The final thing I was going to talk about briefly is the channel yield, where we get the best results. As you can see for us, this is probably unsurprising to you, 17% of our candidates coming from referrals got hired, whereas 0.4% from job posts. That's a 40 times difference in the thing there. So for us, the big thing that I think is that numbers shouldn't be scary. Like, I understand that they can sometimes feel scary and stressful, but having all this data available to you puts you in such a better place to actually start making decisions on like how can you actually get to those numbers you need to, and what we can all be doing to try and optimize that. And obviously from our side, there's no way we could have done any of this without having a platform behind it. Hiring 300 people a year is kind of scary and crazy as it is. So being able to get all of that data and be able to have a really streamlined process using our applicant tracking system really helped to drive the behavior for Personia. And that is everything about us. We have 2 tables. So I'm sat over here, and Loic, if you want to put your hand up, is sat over there. As a company, we've just closed our Series C. We've raised about 75 million, and we're growing really fast in the UK. So hopefully we can have a chat and try and see how we can help you today.
Thank you. Round of applause.
The Access Group, we are one of the leading software vendors in the UK. We sort of revolutionised how a lot of businesses are consuming business software. So we have a platform called Access Workspace. That platform overlays all of our products across the multi-sectors that we deal in. So we have HR systems, expense management systems, absence management systems. We have a specific recruitment suite within our organisation, which is a CRM, pay and bill system, access screening, which is the one we're talking about today, and also accounting and finance. So we have a lot of experience in implementing this into, we have over 30,000 customers at the moment, and screening is probably one of the most popular products we have. I would say that. So the benefits of automated screening, you can see a lot of them on the screen here, but just to highlight a few, in the current marketplace where it is at full employment, everybody is still talking about candidate experience and brand awareness and making it as efficient and as effective as you possibly can. And also people are still talking about trying to reduce your time to hire. So those are key things to focus on with the actual process. I'm going to actually dip into the software here. Every screen I'm showing you is a branded portal that can go out to candidates. So we have things like 2-factor authentication. If you want to make the portal secure to go into, we can send text messages out to candidates. They put in a PIN, and then they can go on to GDPR privacy agreements. So If you need consent, if you need to work through getting information to the candidates, gaining their consent in the first instance, this is a screen that they can see as they go through the process. You'll notice here that I've got it branded as Access Screening. You can actually brand this portal in any way in terms of the logos, the coloration, what you're actually asking from the candidates, and even all the wording you see on the screen here, you can adapt and change. So that might suit different divisions or different parts of your organisation. Candidate can simply just walk through this compliance process, start filling in personal details, things like address history, and moving nicely on straight into references as well. So within here, we have a completely automated reference process. So we've done 200,000 references through here in the last 12 months alone. 80% of those references are actually automated through this platform. That's a stat that Alan liked last time. The reason for that is the system can automatically chase the candidate and the referee to get this information back into the system. You can work through things like questions on here and actually break down specific questions you might be asking candidates in the recruitment process. So a lot of this might be administrative tasks around getting referencing, gathering information that you can just simplify by putting it into a workflow in here. That's a pretty basic example. We can go into much more complex questions as well. Documents and forms you can also collate through the system. So actually asking a candidate to provide you with any form of documentation, it's all responsive. So if a candidate was sat on the train on the way home, they might be able to do this on their phone, upload some documentation, even go as far as e-signing documents as well. It saves the progress as well. So if they forget a document, they can go home, upload it onto a system, upload it into the platform. We integrate directly with DBS, so a candidate can also work through the whole DBS process in here. I think the key is you're keeping the candidate in one candidate experience. So whether they're doing references, providing you documentation, or actually doing a DBS process, they can do it in one place. So what does that look like for you on the other side as a system? So operators within your business can log into this platform where they can actually manage and maintain that employee throughout that path to onboarding, but also as they're continuing to manage that process as they are an employee. So updating documents, gathering references. This is what it actually looks like when all the information this candidate is sent back into you as an organisation. You can come in here and actually verify you're happy with the information they've provided. So it's all very easy and effective to use. It's colour-coded. Candidate sends some information in, it's orange. As you verify it, it turns green. It's really straightforward and simple to actually work through that verification process. And the system then actually helps you to manage things like expiring documents. So a lot of businesses might have spreadsheets to do this, or Outlook calendars, or just piles of paperwork in some places, believe it or not. You can automate that within here. So you can set 4 weeks before a document's about to expire, just proactively warn me in the system that I need to get a new one. Many businesses benefit from the software through audit trails. Quite painful for a lot of companies to go through an audit process. We have a complete audit trail on every single action in the system, both from the candidate, but also from your operators within the business as well. So anyone who is involved in that audit process, doing this will make your life a lot easier. We have a sister product that works and is integrated into our screening platform, which is our Right to Work app. So this app will be in the hands of one of your operators if they're out in the field or whether they are in the office. They can walk through a right to work process with the candidate face to face. So even if I wasn't particularly experienced in doing that, and only a few people in your business were, you might be able to give this to hiring managers because it just walks them through the process of what they need to do. So how that works is that you can start a brand new application with the candidate in front of you, start filling in some of their personal information, things like nationality, and that is then going to predetermine what the next questions are that you ask the candidate. So if I'd chosen a certain nationality, it would then advise me as the hiring manager or the operator in your business to collect certain documentation, actually take copies of that documentation, make sure you can read it, which a lot of the time with some copies that you get, it's probably the main problem that people have is making sure it's legible. It's then going to step through and provide some statutory excuse type questions. They're going to walk through this with the candidate. They can take a picture of the candidate as well. And then immediately, having gone through that process, it's going to tell you whether that candidate has the right to work. And all of that information can then filter back into the screening platform and be held against the rest of their onboarding and vetting information. So what might that look like then if you have a manual process or a semi-automated process at the minute? What will that look like in your business if you implement that technology? You could have a candidate apply for a role on an ATS, maybe arrive for an interview. You could be doing the right to work check on an app when you're with them face to face. Candidate could be offered the role. You could walk through that whole process. It's gone too fast, that one. And literally all of it is automated through technology. So every single step of the way, you can verify that. The information can be shared across your entire business with the hiring managers for you as well, just in one platform. We have a lot of resources on this. We work a lot with various different providers, so all the information on the slides is going to be sent around to you all, so feel free to click on any of those. There's 3 of us in the room, all wearing these fetching tops, so you'll recognise us. People say we look a bit like plumbers in these, but yeah, I don't believe it. So yeah, please feel free to come and speak to us. We have a stand in there as well where we can have a look at the software. Thank you.
Well done.
Yes.
Is this thing on?
I can hear you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. There we go. I'm from Israel, so bringing a little bit of warmth. Did you notice it was a little warmer today? Happy to be over here from Tel Aviv, speaking to you about, spoiler alert, video. And very, very glad to be here. Can we get a round of applause for the people who just did this in 6 minutes and 60 seconds before me? That's pretty good, guys. That was pretty good. And now I have 6 minutes and 20 seconds left. Look, Ben, I'm going to do it myself. There we go. So let's talk about what video does. In an essence, right, in a nutshell, imagine being able to meet your candidates before they walk in the door. Say bye to the text and hi to video. Guys, it is 2020. Who here has tried to write their own CV lately? Sucks, right? And it sucks to have to read all of those CVs as well. We have a lot of tools that help us with that. And every day, thousands of amazing people apply to jobs at Britain's greatest companies, like yours. And they're still doing that primarily with text. And that's something that we think should change because video is a better way to present yourself. Now, the average candidate applies to 128 jobs in a single search. And what results is too much volume, okay? There's too much noise in the system, and the person behind that resume gets lost. And we think that there's a better way to do it. So go with my analogy here, okay? We haven't really moved much past the typewriter, have we? And in the 2020s, especially as we start to recruit millennials and Gen Z candidates, clearly video is the way to go. Video is where the candidates are anyway. When they're applying to jobs, they're using video. That's what they want. 80% of talent professionals say soft skills are increasingly important to company success. Take it from LinkedIn. And in essence, the video gives you a glimpse into the soft skills. We're not saying that video should be, we're not saying that this isn't a two-way live video conversation, you know, the one that takes 15 minutes to set up and then cuts out every 10 sentences, but this is a recorded asynchronous video. It provides 60% efficiency on time because you or the recruiter and the candidate don't need to be available at the exact same second. And they're already there. People are using video in their daily lives. People are using video to communicate, whether that's on social networks or directly, and they're already communicating directly with businesses via video as well. So this is picking up in the US primarily, and I think here as well. So how does it work, like technically speaking, right? It's very, very easy. You choose where in your process you want to add the video component. You send the link to the candidate, and then they come to a really nice page where they see questions in text format and answer them in short video snippets. You control the entire process. They can do it from their phone. They can do it from their laptop. The process is quite seamless, and this is one of the things that we have developed in-house that's proprietary. And they're able to present themselves to you at the time that's best suited for them, giving you the best impression. That's what it looks like. He looks familiar, right? And I know that there are a lot of questions, and in 400 seconds, it's very hard to answer all of them. But the bottom line about this candidate experience is that the more seamless it is, the less friction there is in the process, the easier it is to adopt. But in addition to that, we recognize that the candidates are part of the equation and the recruiter and the hiring manager are the other part. How do we really leverage all of this data in the video in order to make this a modern experience for you as well? And we call our suite of tools My Interview Intelligence. This is a suite of tools that allows you to do a few different things, and very briefly, I'll touch on 3 of them. The first one is, this is something that's quite unique that we've developed. It's a video chatbot, so it mimics the in-person experience much more by having the questions be follow-up questions that are tailored based on the candidate's initial response. You ask a trigger question, and you go from there. The second thing we do is we can ask you, you know those tedious 300, or maybe if you're using a good one, 30-question personality test? So we're going to ask you once to do that test and spare your candidates from that. Just from the result of the videos, while they're answering questions that are relevant to your search, we can get a personality profile of them and simply reorder the stack so it's no longer randomized, but now you know where to start in your search, right? 100 resumes come in, everyone, I'm sure, in this room is doing them last in, first out, or first in, first out. And finally, My Interview is an opportunity to let the candidates pitch themselves to additional roles using video, giving them the feeling that the power is back in their hands. So, do they like it? They do. 91% say, and we survey pretty much every candidate anonymously, say that they would do video again. This is clearly the way the world is moving. I encourage you, of course, to join me in this revolution and catch up a little bit. There are too many questions to answer, but I know one of them was going to be, wait, hold on one second, what about my existing systems? Yes, we integrate with many of your existing systems, and we're willing to go the extra mile to build whatever integration is necessary for you. We're not looking to take you out of any existing processes, but rather optimize the top of your recruitment funnel using tools that should be used in 2020. This is an impressive slide to show you that there are actual real companies using this, some of them here in the UK, some of them multinational, and we're growing quite rapidly as well. And that's good news for you because the more this becomes a predominant part of recruiting in the world, the more you're going to have an easy time with candidates. And I know that sometimes they say, oh, hold on, this is complicated, I don't look good on video. The younger they are, the less you'll hear that, but we do recognize. That's why we built something that's so simple, even your grandmother can use it. That's for you, John. Thank you very much for listening. In my last couple of seconds, I do want to tell you that we have a massive dairy milk bar that says winner on it. And if you can guess our easy challenge outside in the hall during the coffee breaks, one of those massive Cadbury bars could be yours. And then that's going to be you in the selfie going, I'm a winner. It's a very easy challenge, don't worry. And along the way, you'll get to see how the system actually works. So thanks for having me over here in London today. Looking forward to meeting you all afterwards. My colleague Ellie and John are here as well. And I hope it's a really cool day.